Hello and welcome to Political Paradigm Live on Channels Television. I'm Kayla Megwa, standing in for Terry Ikumi, and today we're having a State of the Nation conversation with Otumba Segun Sowunmi. Now, the reason why we're having this conversation is because he's come up with a topic that's made all of us wonder, because we've heard all of this before. The alternative. Almost every government we've had was an alternative to something else. Have they been able to deliver? And what makes this alternative the alternative for the Nigerian people? Well, he's about to tell us all of that and more. Thank you so much for being with us on Political Paradigm.
Thank you, Kela. Nobody does it better than you.
I know you're trying to butter me up, so I won't be. I'm going to ask you straight to the point.
Okay.
What makes your alternative the alternative? Peter Obi was an alternative.
No.
Well, it was marketed as an alternative to the ruling party. It was a move away from the ruling party.
Okay, ask a question so I can answer.
Okay.
Have you landed?
So my thing is, if Peter Obi's party, the Labour Party, was marketed as an alternative, the All Progressives Congress initially was marketed as an alternative. All right. If you don't agree with all of this, maybe you can tell us why in your answer. What makes your alternative a better alternative?
Kela, this is not my alternative.
Okay.
This is our alternative. And it comes from the fact that in the last 26, 27 years of multi-party democracy in Nigeria, I have been consistent in PDP. From about 1998 till date, I've had leaders like Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, whom I love and adore, leave. I stayed. I've had men like Otumba Daniel come and go, and I stayed. I've even had Atiku Abubakar and their likes come and go, and I've stayed. Shall it be that whatever it is that takes them out, I don't see? I've waited with great expectation the birthing of the All Progressive Congress, because I thought we needed another pan-Nigerian party at that time, and I felt that maybe their ideological underpinnings would be stable. But I've also watched them become same of same, majorly because they have refused to allow their own platform grow in an organic manner. And I've watched my platform, and even the one that you say Peter used, I've watched all of those platforms really become irritatingly same of same. The crescendo was that the last election, they all basically spoke from the same playbook. I'll remove subsidy, day one. I'll float the currency. And you feel pity for the PDP candidate, because he was the one that first put out his manifesto. And others too seem to, maybe they couldn't have been copying him completely. They must have been working on that. But curiously, they all resembled themselves. Now we're in this democracy, and what is bringing the need for the name, the alternative, which is really a national opposition movement. Why? Are you not curious that a nation that has an election registration of close to 93 million progressively seems to have less and less people coming up? It gets more scary when, even at the state level, in case people are not interested in national, they should be interested in their state. The states that have 2 million, a little bit over 2 million votes, barely electing governors with less than 250, 300 votes. The level of vote buying and the accusation of same, I'm very careful not to make allegations that cannot be substantiated, but you know it's a very popular conversation around our election. The quality of candidates and the desperation of quality men to find space in the political parties. The embarrassment that after close to 27 years, we have not accepted that we can't always say that the only position available for a woman in the party is the woman leader. It smacks you in the face when you look at all of the other things women are doing in all of the other platforms, which are even probably stronger and needing more integrity. Banks, we have about 3 or 4 female CEO, the World Trade Organization. So and then you look at who we are now in the country. From being a politics of ideology, we have now almost literally become politics of ethnicity and religion, politics of tribal hate of each other. We have become a politics of even the political parties see themselves as the fiefdom of one individual exclusively. And you're looking at it and you're wondering, is this how we're going to continue? So what I had then proposed to my friends is that, look, gentlemen, we need to do 5 things quickly. The first is that we need to go back to our citizens and beg them not to give up on democracy, in case that's why they are not turning up. In case they are not feeling served, we need to tell them, then find us the people you think will serve you at your locale. In case that's not their issue, we need to speak to them firmly. That, do you really understand what the promise of democracy is and how huge a promise it is, that selling the vote is just too much for all of us? The poor or the not so rich, the not already favored, are always in the majority. Democracy gives them that opportunity to be boss on that one day where they can validate, choose, remove, do whatever they want with their franchise. And to imagine that we have probably failed in educating them to see the consequences of what vote buying is doing, running the risk that we're going to be perpetually in a state of complaint. Then I also saw that we have become a country where the president on seat is always so hated, only to be loved, because the person that takes over from him is going to be hated more than him. And in that succession, we had hated Obasanjo, they love Yar'Adua, they hated Yar'Adua, they love Obasanjo, they hated Yar'Adua, they love Jonathan, they love Jonathan, hated Jonathan, love Yar'Adua, then hated Buhari, they love Bola Tinubu, they love Bola Tinubu, they now hate Bola Tinubu and even love everybody before him. When you find that kind of thing in a nation, you need to return back to the people and have that conversation afresh. To do it, you must promise yourself and promise them 3 things, minimally. 1, we are going to be a platform that seeks to find the best of us to lead the rest of us. To find that best of us, it's now back to the partnership with the people to throw up that best from the area. If they bring the best, we'll market him and do all we can with him. Ask him all the questions, why, how, and would you do it, get done. If we take him to the big parties and they're too stuck in their ways, we'll then take him to anywhere else we can find a platform and beg the Nigerians that we have vetted these ones. And you see, you have to fear what will become of a nation where you have your poverty numbers, your inflation numbers, your stress numbers within the country. You're looking at your young people at each other's neck, almost from a tribal viewpoint, even on your social media and even in other spaces where they communicate. You're looking at socialists, or if you like, activists become very angry and careless, running the risk of throwing everything away. You're looking at a continuous, non-stop demarketing of your nation, even by your diaspora community. You have to press the default button. And you don't have an opportunity of saying, let's throw away democracy. The only best thing, in my opinion, you must do, you must go and re-engage the people for that democracy. Okay. And that's what the alternative is all about. And luckily, we have done the national unveil in Abuja, and we have gone to zonal. How about tomorrow, next tomorrow, we'll do the northeast zonal conversation in Bauchi. We did the north central zonal conversation in Jos. And that's how we're going to go around and see what we hear. Okay.
Just a few clarifications.
That's right.
Are you still a member of the People's Democratic Party? Yes, of course. The alternative, is it made up of people from other parties as well?
Everybody. So including those that have not even been courageous enough to participate in politics because they think it's too dirty.
So it's basically a coming together of people who are like-minded, and then you would support any candidate, regardless of what party.
We have gotten to that point now because we have seen that the political parties themselves have not understood that being the first safeguards in a democracy, it is their duty to shop for the best of us.
Because I heard you say that the last time. Now, there are members of the All Progressives Congress and the alternative.
Oh, yeah.
If they wanted a Bola Tinubu for 2027.
We'll have the conversation with the people.
What people?
The people will go to. When you go to town hall meetings.
So town hall.
When you go, not just town hall, when you go to town hall meetings at zonal level, you drill down to the states, you drill down to local government, and you really genuinely try to ask people, what are the issues here? If we find out by going around the country that the people of the country are saying they agree with his policies and they are happy the way he's going, then we will then say the problem we have in the country is a miscommunication of government policy to the people. We may find that. You can't invent what you're going to find when you're out there. we may find out that the people of the country are looking at Peter.
How would you feel about that if it was a Bola Tinubu that was the one that was now pushed forward? Because you said it's a meeting of minds.
Yeah.
If they push, because over the years I have heard you criticize Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
I'm very firm on
him.
Yeah.
These policies, you said they were not really thought out.
Yes.
This is not the way to govern a
Yes.
country. This is not how. I've heard
on
you
some
say
issues,
this on many issues.
Yeah,
not all
of the issues,
but many of those
yes.
issues.
And those issues, those positions I hold them sacrosanct.
Now, if that is the case, if the members of the alternative, because what many people have been saying, really, and it's not substantiated, but it's a thinker.
Yeah.
Imagine if people are able to buy up members of your alternative, the members, the people who are like-minded. Imagine if moles are put into a place. Imagine if the thought processes are geared towards someone who's playing a pipe somewhere else, and then they start to push this person in front of you. How do you handle that, knowing what your stand has been all these years?
A society cannot be so pessimistic to the point that it will imagine that everything good is dead in all of its citizens. If that were to be true, then you would have had larger numbers of people coronating leaders in our country. But what we see is that a significant number of people are not even showing up. The ones that show up are mostly wanting to be bribed. That is not an indication that the people of the country are happy with what's going on. And I will be damned to think that when we now go to the society to ask them questions, to speak to them, to beg them, to reorientate them, to do radios and all of the things that we can only try to do, and try to tell them, gentlemen, you can't be happy stimulating only the same of same. Democracy has given you the right to be good in your society, in your catchment area, in your delimited area, for them to say, it's Kela we want. The Kela then has the next hurdle. They want her, they trust that she can serve them, and then we take her, she goes to the parties, they start to do their nonsense, and then we're going to lose the service of a good person because we can't get the wheel behind ourselves to drive that change. And if we're looking for the best of us to serve the rest of us, plus or minus, margin of error, we will find them. We need to find new people. We cannot normalize a conversation that includes only the 1992 class. By the 1992 class, I call them the June 12ers. The young men of June 12, the Atikus, the Bola Tinubus of this world, who have sort of managed the transition to the democracy and also managed the country in democracy, including the developmental philosophy we're running. None is all good, none is all bad, but we need new people. If the people of the country are so excited with them, you will see them saying kumbaya, and when they come for election, they won't even want to pay. They will just say, oh, this is the one we love. This is something that looks like our Messiah complex and all that. And we're not getting that. And we feel that the people may be feeling underserved because of the constant conversation of, well, what is there? They're not giving us our due. We're not feeling anything. There's no dividend of democracy. We need to go back now and start explaining to them that, look, society does not run on an idea that the president stays in Abuja and solves the problem of your local council. We need to start telling them that don't be too fixated about the man in Abuja, whoever he may be. Be interested in the one that is the councillor. Be interested in the House of Assembly member. Be interested in your governors, especially your governors, whom I consider to be the most guilty in the misserving of the people. There will be one or two brilliant examples here and there, but in a sustained manner, we have created an arrangement where governors have gotten more than they deserve at the expense of the people here. If you have food inflation crisis in the country, whatever English or economics theory you talk about, it simply means we're not producing enough food for us to eat. I think that agriculture is not exclusively on the federal government list. There is no law that says states cannot take production of the food that they eat in their country more seriously. This conversation needs to be had, Okela. You know why? Because the simmerings of frustration, anger, disdain can easily blow in our face, especially when you have mouthy, non-verified, so-called activists who just propagate anger and hate without understanding the psychological effect of constantly demarketing the country. Let me tell you, the psychological effect of constantly demarketing your country is that you just make all your citizens annoyed, slightly depressed, and sometimes psychotic.
In many ways, many people have believed that it actually causes more harm than good.
Of course.
I want to be able to talk to you about two things that you mentioned there and go back to my alternative conversation.
Yes, okay.
Because, you know, in listening to your response to it, I didn't see how other parties were not an alternative in there.
No, you're looking at the word alternative to mean another political party.
Yes.
If it was to be another political party, then I'll tell you that we hope to become a political party.
Okay.
I've just told you in clear terms that we have 17 political parties as a team.
But that's
so
the
when
thing.
we then, the alternative is another way of thinking about policies. When you criticize, offer alternative solution. When you say it is bad, tell us what is good. You cannot normalize.
So to be clear, the alternative in itself is not a political party.
No, it's just a movement.
But you will support a movement that will support someone that all of you come together.
It's a plan.
Do you plan on becoming a political party at some point?
To be honest, Kela, you know, I'm not the one to speak from both sides. I just shoot straight.
Yes.
I don't think that our problem now is that we don't have 17 or 18 political parties. Our problem is that we are trying to get good people in silos. One will be good in one party, he's not good, he doesn't have good people in another party. One will have good people here. Do you understand? Pockets of people. And I'm trying to say to them, we can't continue this way. We'll just be agonizing, complaining, claiming we're being cheated or being undermined, blaming everybody, INEC, without blaming ourselves. The political parties need to ask themselves one fundamental question. Is Nigeria the only nation that is running democracy, that we must be the only nation demanding a new electoral act every season, even before we put the experiment of the last one into practice of new things that we've learned? Now, why would it be so? If we are doing vote buying, what's that going to do with INEC? If we were to tell ourselves that enough, this is not nice, it's ugly, then we stop bringing money, then who's going to be doing vote buying? If we stop trying to bring talks to the play, who's going to be? So I'm saying that for this democracy to work, for it to make sense, for us to grow the economy and do all the things we need to do, and even create happy citizens who are patriotic. Patriotism must be stimulated. The people must know why and what is the things driving their patriotism. National orientation cannot just be pretending as if you cannot see the complaints of the people. The people themselves who complain, they cannot be harbinger of frustration, everything they do. They don't even read what is being done. Government will come up with a policy. All of the governments till date, before they even get to understand what the policy means, what's the intention of the policy, subjecting it to robust interrogation, even to accept it or to reject it, they quickly just get angry. It's almost as if you're saying, no, I don't agree on everything. And the world is so global. The world is so small. Every nation in the world is pushing its own interest. We can't have the largest black nation in the world majorly saying all over the world that their country is not good. That's not correct. And these are the things that the alternative will try to say. Let's find people who will be talking like this. Let's find people who will be advocates and challenge the elites. That when you see your citizens not participating in democracy, it's a failure of orientation on the side of the elites. Because there's hardly any family where they don't have an elite person who they can go to kind of like educate them. Or are we miseducating our people?
The Messiah issue, because you mentioned...
Yeah, Messiah complex.
Well, the complex is something that happens to the person who believes is a Messiah.
Exactly.
But there is the complex idea, and there are two complex topics.
Yes, but...
So this one has to do with the need for a Messiah.
No,
I want to be able to break that down. The people sometimes, when you put a situation on ground that makes it impossible for you to live well, and makes it impossible for you to progress, it's been happening for many hundreds of years.
Yeah.
You suddenly need a Messiah. There's a person who's going to pull us out of this. The dangers of wanting a Messiah and the miscreants that can take advantage of that need for a Messiah is one that I want to be able to talk to you about. Is there a way to break this down so people can understand that the fact that you need something good doesn't mean that everything that looks good is the solution?
Good. Now, thank you. It is when I talk about the Messiah complex, it is because I know that at the sight of anything that looks or even sounds, cliche, if the cliche is well packaged, people just think it's good. I don't believe in that. I feel that that's part of the reasons why we say we want this man in power. He gets into power, we start feeling frustrated with him and start abusing him the next day because we didn't even take time to ask even the so-called Messiah, how do you plan to get this done? What does it mean in terms of brick and mortar? Do you get? So what I am hoping for now is that we can stimulate better quality people, academicians, people who would ordinarily say, oh, on the day of election, I can't be bothered, to not wait for the day of the election before they start cleaning the stable from where they're standing. Clean it from where you are, your family, your area of influence, and I'll clean it from where I am. As we're cleaning it, we understand what we're hoping to have. If you put 10,000 into the fire, maybe in the second round you only have 1,000. Maybe in the third round, it will begin to sickle itself until we begin to say, given what we have now, this looks good. And we will then subject that one that we say is good, we'll put the feet to the fire before, not after he has gotten onto the saddle. And we will not agree to just, sweet sounding noise that doesn't move nothing. We have gotten to a point in the country now where we need honest conversations with ourselves. Like, for instance, you say, okay, I'm going to remove subsidy, but let me just say up front that it will mean less money in your pocket, but never mind, it will mean more money for your governors who can do X, Y, Z. That conversation will be had. Like now they're doing the tax bill. If we had started early, what we would have done is that we would have taken the tax bill, we would have taken one university in each of the zones, maybe University of Lagos upschool, and go to their accounting and those kinds of department, law and everything, and tell them, take this document, have an academic town hall to review it. We'll do the same in Osuka, we'll do the same in Unijos. So we will then have maybe 6 top-level conversation of that level, talk about it. They're going to come with different opinions. Then we'll aggregate them into a national conversation. One person from each of those places will now come and have a town hall meeting on it to educate us. So we will, if we say we don't want, we'll be saying we don't want because subject matter experts have reviewed it. If we say we want, we will say we want because subject matters experts have broken it down for us. And then we can take the communication around it and then break it down to our people. You can't be running chaos. I can't accept that we fought for this democracy, we got this democracy, and it's just making us all depressed. There's
an unpopular opinion that the tax bills may have been created to fail.
Well, with due respect, those who say that are, so pessimistic that they don't even understand that at any point in time, the best intentions of government will be criticized. And tax reforms are never the most popular things for any nation. Because anytime people hear tax, the only thing they hear is that I'm going to pay more money. But sometimes the devil is in the detail. You could look at it and say, they're saying, we're going to remove taxes from the lower run and put it on the rich. That's always a popular thing with the poor. If only you don't allow the rich to seize the poor and be telling the poor the lies that it's against you, it's against your region.
Or the rich get the taxes from you, from the poor, because they're the ones in manufacturing, they're the ones who would sell products to you, hike up the prices for you as well and make their money back from you.
Well, every time you're talking about consumption tax, you have to understand that the only way for the government to give the people money is to remove taxes from the things that the poor mostly consume. Never mind that they will pay taxes of manufacturing. Never mind also that the consumption tax will now be shared, not given to the headquarters location of it. Look, we are an incredible nation, but we're standing in our own way. As a nation, we're a very incredible nation. We're one of the greatest nations under the earth, under heaven, but we're standing in our way. What do I mean by we're standing in our way? We're just too pessimistic with ourselves. We have very heavy trust deficit. We don't believe ourselves. Some of it caused by the people that...
I was just going to say, can you blame the Nigerian pessimists right now?
That's why we want to draw the line. Because all of the blame and all of the shame and all of the anger you've done since 1999 What has it done for the poor? Nothing. And if they now come to the day of the election and they don't even have the consciousness to know that all of those things we were telling you did and we didn't like, that you didn't answer, today is payback time. We're voting you out. If that one secret power they have is also going to be sold, then it means that prebendalism, capitalism, the rich have captured the soul of the society. And if I have my way, that will not happen. And I'm looking for partners. I'm looking for sensible people. I'm looking for real people who also think that we can't continue like this. And that's why I said up front, it's not going to become a political party. Why? Because if we did not say that clearly, the chances are that those who are always looking for platform to contest the election will rush in and then try to say that they are the Messiah. No way, you're not. If you are, we'll talk to you, and then to give we can talk to your party. We can do everything. Say, look, this guy is good. His people like him and all that. We can show you the polling result. We can show you all of that. If you don't want him, should the nation not get a service because you have either made it too expensive, or you have made it too difficult, or you are doing big manism, or you are doing only Godfather politics, or you're just running chaos? There has to be a way we're going to improve leadership recruitment in this country, or are we to give up? That's what the alternatives are. And by tomorrow, next tomorrow, we'll be in Bauchi. From Bauchi, upper week, we're going to be in Kano. And then after, we'll go to the southern belt. And while we leave them, the champions of that environment, whom we don't know, we just market them and tell them what the issues are and see who comes. And look, oh God, Nigerians are phenomenal. When we were in Jos, we had more than 300 people. The reason why I know is that I produced the caps. I said, look, create caps for them so that we know. And we used up all our caps. And we filled it all. We fed them as much as with a snack. And we had a very passionate, animate conversation. And they were also passionate and animate about it. And they said, okay, we'll then go and create our own in our states and then drill it down. And I said to them, it's not our duty to show you who your leaders are. It's your duty to tell us these are the ones you trust. Because enough of saying you love him only to start hating him 5 minutes later.
I want to be able to talk a little bit about poverty and patriotism, because it is a state of the nation conversation that we are having.
Of course.
And it's another complex, one of the complex conundrums I said we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Poverty and patriotism. We keep telling people, be patriotic. So don't sell your votes.
Yeah.
Stand on truth.
Yes.
They take the leadership recruitment process seriously. Mm-hmm. Be a part of the process. Yeah. But they can't eat.
No, listen.
And in many ways, many people have believed that poverty is a weapon. It's been weaponized, used in such a way that you lose your conscience as a person. I'm hungry. You're not going to tell me about patriotism.
Good.
I'm unable to do anything. What country are you telling me to pledge my allegiance to? Now, that dynamic, how do you see that affecting 2027? Well, the elections.
That's why we're starting early.
You're going to alleviate poverty?
No, you're not listening. The first thing that people need to understand is that whatever poverty you're dealing with will not disappear because of spaghetti. Whatever poverty you are dealing with, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, max, I've heard they paid is 30,000. It's not enough for even 1 year. How much more for 4 years? We're going to try to tell the people that, tell them about your poverty, but make sure they pay for it at the poll. And by paying for it, you can't sell it. Because once you sell it, you have only energized them to continue to run you out of town. Once there are consequences, people will begin to shape up. Politicians are not in the business of vote buying because they want to lose or because they want to lose money. They're in the business of vote buying and all of these shenanigans because they think it's a convenient way to stay in power. If the people can elevate themselves just a little bit to say, no, this is enough, that'll be good. That's one. Number two, I've asked them, have you asked God, you the poor, the so-called poor, assuming that's the language you're using, have you asked God and God said, none of you can lead? You have the numbers. Why are you not throwing yourself up even in your local? And it's not presidency that is the only position in the country. Okay. And then on the question of, are they deliberately making the country, keeping the country poor for, to rape them and weaponize it? Societies that run that paradigm, they run the risk of an implosion.
Do you think we're there?
Napoleon kept telling himself, there's no problem. His friends kept telling him we're in charge. They kept thinking that narrative management and telling lies and propaganda will make up for people's misery. But he didn't. Just a few days ago, Assad is gone. And that's a 50-year family dynasty. Now, we're joking. We're playing with fire. This is a rescue mission. If the people know that democracy still gives them the opportunity to change their leaders, if they're not happy with them, then they will follow that route. If that door closes on them and it comes to their mind and they say, no, this thing is all nonsense, it's not happening, we're not there, and the numbers, they will do, something will have to give. Before you get to that day of catastrophe, we all need to go back and rethink what we're doing and re-educate our people. For policies, shall a person who has no value for the people really be concerned at putting the people as the central theme of his policies? All the nations of the world, the democracies of the world, they struggle to try to tell the people that don't worry, your issues are the issues I'm representing. And you see them trying. And another person will come and say, no, you didn't do this well. Because of that, I'm going with this. Will our own just be do anyhow, act anyhow, don't come for debates, don't even allow them to ask you questions, just be arrogant, use up paid media to just be forcing an agenda that is false, and then come on the day of the vote with your ton of money and then start paying people, and even when INEC is struggling to give us a good election, only be interested in compromising it, and then when you have compromised yourself and compromised the INEC, you blame INEC. When you take your cases to court, you don't prosecute your cases well, you lose, you blame the judges. Okay, if you have a society where you think the police is not working, you think the government is not working, you think INEC is not working in a democracy, you are not showing up to vote, you think the courts are not working, what next? Chaos. So you have to figure out a way to slowly but gradually start de-escalating and start introducing a different type of hope.
Who's going to do that?
The alternative. You and I. And people like you. And people who just can't be bothered because they don't see partners who stand for anything.
I wanted to talk to you before I lose that train of thought. It's interesting that you brought up Assad, the ousted Syrian president.
Leader. I'm just using that as an example of how people think can change.
Because we're watching it in shock on the BBC because it just felt like nothing was going to happen about this, and then just watching in shock as things were unfolding, and watching, and someone made a joke and said the airports would be full. Yeah. I said, why? He said, because everyone who has been paying lip service to this man would be looking for a way out of this country. Because that exile that Russia, the asylum that he was given by Russia, I don't know if it extends to the members of his cabinet and to his loyalists. And then the reason why I brought that up right now is because, you talked about selling your votes. But you see, there are levels of poverty. It's not always, because when we think about vote buying, we always go straight to the voter who came to collect 10,000, 20,000. There's a guy that distributes. There's a guy who gathered the money and distributes. Then there's the one that layers.
The value chain, yes.
So there's a value chain of this. So while we focus most of the time on election day on the people who are collecting money, or we go to the person who's standing behind an uncompleted building. Those are not the issues. There are people above them.
Do you know why that is?
Why don't we focus on those people? And how can we change such a person? I'm so sorry. Someone might be making 30,000. That guy is making millions. That's what he's been paid to do.
Do you know why the guy with the vote that on that day is king? Because you can give your friend all your money if you like. You see, the guy that had, and the woman, or the last, whatever you want to call them, a person that gets to be given a piece of paper and allowed by law to put his thumb on and do boom. That is the king on that day. And so do whatever you like with yourselves if you don't have the sense to change. But let us go to the people who carry the bigger burden of the misbehavior of one day, translating into 4 years of consequences. Let us go and educate them. But not shout on them, not bully them,
but
not scream at them, but tell them that.
But you see, those guys on that value chain, the one that got the contract to distribute tin tomatoes, the one that got the contract to distribute rice and to distribute oil, his fortunes
It's more than this.
Yes. His fortunes are... How do we educate that person that what he's doing is wrong? Because he's a Nigerian and he's a voter.
Yeah, of course. It's like this program we're running now. We're having this conversation as though it's a man and his very beautiful girlfriend or a wife in the house having a decent, brilliant conversation. But the whole world is listening. Of the people that are listening, some of them are going to say, this makes sense. So what I'm saying is that when you design a campaign, you design a campaign for everybody within that space. All of them are not going to change on the same day. Some will, but if we can get a few of them to change and get more believers, almost like Jehovah's Witness, if they can preach the gospel, they can preach development. If they can preach Islam, they can preach development. Once you understand that the living within the Nigerian space have to first of all live, even before they go to heaven, do whatever they want to get when they get to heaven, then you get the importance of why this is important. Because can I ask you, Kela, if we were to lose democracy, what would we get? I go around a lot. There's people in this country who are already whispering and feeling frustrated with the democracy, almost even desiring... It's
not just about this country, it's around Africa.
I'm just saying, let's stay with Africa.
All across Africa, there are indices where people are saying, we don't want democracy, it's not working anymore.
Let's stay with our own country. There are people here too who are already feeling that way. And they are ignorant because a problem that cannot be solved by a cabinet of maybe 20, 30, 40, 50, or whatever the number of people, including the bureaucracy that is in thousands, is it a handful of soldiers or whatever mercenary or revolutionaries that will solve it? So we created democracy to give the power to the people. We have robbed them of that power. And they have not been properly stimulated to understand the seriousness of the event. And we cannot leave it like that. So we must go back to ensure that the best of us can lead. Why should we be a nation, Nigeria especially? Why should we be a nation that we have the best human capital here? And if anybody doubts it, when our people here go abroad, there's still the best human capital there. Why should we not figure out a way to make it easy for them to offer opinions, suggestions? Why should our conversation always be toxic? Why should we be saying pull everything down? Why should we be calling people out for revolution? Why should everything be a riot? Why should everything be protest? Why should everything be, they didn't do this, we're not going to do that, without even commensurate conversation as to let us now in a decent manner begin to see what can we do to make it better. I think it's a good initiative. And I think that if the Lord helps us, because you never know what the outcome of anything is, you can only try. But I would rather be trying than just pretend that nothing can work. I'm too optimistic about the Nigerian person that I believe that if we put our effort to it, we will get people who will also be, it's true. Why now? Are they the only ones? Why is he the one here? What's the meaning of this Godfather nonsense? Does he own the country? Why should I be the slave and not the master? Once we start stimulating that kind of conversation in a democratic manner, and we have also told them, if you don't like those that have been coming to you, now you bring the ones you like to us within the rules and the regulations of the country. So imagine that we got to Benue and the people of Benue just say, look, there's one lady there somewhere. We used to see her name is Kela Megwa. We like the way she talks and the issues. We want her to come and be our rep member. And are you for real? With test and say, yeah, well, then it will be our duty in the alternative to come together and say, people are saying they like you. Do you want to give it a shot? If she's scared, we'll figure out what is making her scared. If she's not scared, we'll start marketing them.
I saw you do the same pitch to Seun. You've been trying to get all of us to join politics.
No, I'm not trying to
say. We are not joining.
Societies are...
We will not join.
Don't come. Stay away.
We will not.
We will make the politicians that you allow, will make the laws and you will obey.
I have been seeing
this
pitch.
No, it's not a pitch. The seriousness of the matter, you're losing it.
You're trying to get...
No, I'm not. I'm using you as an example.
So let's talk about the space in it. So let's talk about it.
Yes.
The political space is one that you would think that a lot of people who want the best for their country will jump into and want to be a part of. And we see it. We see our country. We want the best for our country. Many of us are on that wheel. But it's too toxic. It's almost as though something happens once you decide to run for office.
Can I tell you what that thing is?
What is that thing? Because I know that you also had to go through that.
Can I tell you what that thing is?
Yes, talk to us about it.
We have become a nation of no consequence. All of the other nations in the world that can throw up Kemi, that can throw up Obama, that can throw up Kamala Harris, that can throw up even Donald Trump and all that. They are able to do that because there are consequences embedded into their democracy, into their lifestyle.
Consequences from the people or the institutions?
No, from the institution. Anybody, if we were applying the right consequences, we will have to literally be kneeling down to get anybody to be a governor. Because they're just sitting down there, do whatever the hell they like, and coming out of the place and do whatever the hell they like. That's not how society is meant to function. We take some of the powers of the people, we compress it and give it to you so that you can act. We even, for cherry on it, we put you with immunity so that you're not distracted. Does that mean that when you finish, there will be no consequence and you won't have your day to answer? The desire to audit you, the desire to check about your abuse of office, the desire to check about your wealth that cannot be explained, the desire to ask you, how come you have a jet you didn't have before you came? The desire to say, where did you get that from? The desire to say you're going to jail for abuse of office is not strong. And if we make it strong, what will happen is that people will now start seeing the consequences of bad behavior. And slowly but gradually, the default mode of goodness will override and overweigh over the default of madness. People will get away, people will do anything they can get away with. And then if they cannot get away with stealing in town, you catch them for that, are you going to let them get away with raping the future of people? When the government is in charge or in place, either democracy or otherwise, for all the times it's telling us to be patient, does that government really understand that it is our lives that he's joking and toying with? If I'm going to be patient with you for 5 years, I need you to know that after that 5 years, you need to come and explain to us what happened. But we have been patient with this democracy since 1999. Are we not getting to a point now where we have to say enough? And the danger sign I see is that it seems to me that we're now coming full circle. We have used up the goodwill of pan-Nigeria. We've broken it by ourselves. We are now used up the concept of individual. That Messiah complex, Buhari can do it for us. We have broken it by ourselves. We are now dangerously at the point of, he's my tribe man, he's your tribe man. Even if you have an alternative view, they'll quickly say, because you're not from their tribe. And it's getting exceedingly difficult to scold people, to tell people this is not the right way, without running into headwind of, hey, Shebi is your brother. I criticize President Abdullah very well. Seriously. And I don't see any tribe in Nigeria that I want to criticize. I won't criticize because that's the president and he's my town man, and I'm not pampering him. Why should I pamper you when I know that what you're doing is not even good for all of us? Why should I? I have the best heart for all of us. I have the best heart for equity, justice, fairness, and what makes sense. I have the best heart for us to be great, but it does not include that if I have anything I can do about it, it includes the fact that you are going to convert this, my beloved Nigeria, into a fiefdom of tribal hatred, tribal fight, misbehavior, indiscipline, rudeness, defamation, and all sorts of jargons. You have no respect for institutions and even people that have built the institution. You can say this one person is this, be able to prove it, yes, but you can't be every day saying that the judiciary is this. It gets on my nerve because the same judiciary.
I'm guessing that you're referring to Daily.
No, I'm coming. The same judiciary that you're talking about occasionally gives you good judgment.
Are you referring to Daily Friday to me when you say
No. My position on Daily matter is that everything considered, Daily is a hero. It's going to end up being a hero because even the audacity to stand where he's standing, we may not agree with his animated style and his no nonsense. I'm not going to agree. We may not agree. We may not agree that it makes sense for him to do it that way. For somebody who also had very humble beginning, and if you know about February's story, you wouldn't want anybody to mess about with him. But that does not mean that those allegations should not be investigated, because the stabilization of institution far outweighs any other consideration. You can't have it there sitting in a book that we have a Supreme Court that is going to be manipulated so whimsically like that. Afebabalola or not Afebabalola, it must be investigated. Yes, I know that the burden of proof and all of that is there, but I'm not interested in the nuances of the courts. I'm only saying that society must save itself from an idea that everything in the society is bad. You know why? Because countries are just delimitations. What they call Nigeria is just our coordinates. Even if you say we're tired of Nigeria, the question is that this space under the canopy of heaven that we live in is not disappearing. And we, the humans that live in this canopy, we can call it whatever name we want to call it. If you take one of those old Bibles, the Bibles or any of those old books where they used to put, the images and the map of the world, you'll be amazed how the same one world that had only just a few countries is the same one world that we don't even know all the names of the country. So I'm not rigid. I'm just saying that as Africans, our color of skin, our color of eyes, our food, and our culture is so similar that it's extremely embarrassing that we're tribalizing ourselves here, especially Nigerians now, especially people who go to other people's country and they're allowed to excel. You'll be mayor of Toronto, you'll be leader of opposition, and all of that.
I want to be able to talk about two things.
All right, okay.
Oh, because you've mentioned one of them right now.
Which is?
So I'm going to start with that one before I move to the next one.
Which is?
We heard the vice president recently talking about the leader of the Conservative Party. And
I think that...
And then you heard what he said. It was pretty uncomplimentary. But he did accuse her of saying uncomplimentary things about her country, and started off by listing out all the other people in high places of authority who are from other countries, and in his words, do not denigrate their country. What do you make of
the
that?
thing is that I understand why the vice president will want to do a bit of a pushback for the country, but I think he needs to understand it's on diplomatic. That's not the diplomatic language. The fact that the leader of opposition has become leader of opposition and she's speaking to some issues that may be not so good for the country, the vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria cannot speak in such an indecorous manner. If I were him, this is what I would have said. I would have said, yes, immigration is one of the things that allow humans to move from one place to the other and be whatever. We're happy that our daughter, blah, 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 has been this. We take note of some of the issues she has, but we want to let her understand all societies struggle to be better. Now that she has a great opportunity to serve where she is, she can remember that it was not every time that she remembers her country that she remembered it for bad. She had some level of education here, which was a good thing. May not be perfect. She had some parents here, medical doctors, good thing, may not be perfect. She breathed the air here, good thing, it may not be perfect. And however she likes to run, she can't run away from her history. I wish her well, and let me give her a hug on behalf of her fatherland. That's how I'll say it.
So not the way he said it.
Not the way he said it.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo recently said, and I'm going to quote him right now, he said the best way to fight corruption is starting from the head. That is where corruption has to be fought from. Corruption is a hydra-headed, I think it's a monster, and eats deep.
To God be the glory, Olusegun, Aremu, Okikiola, Obasanjo is like my dad. We have the tribal marks, we're from the same place, I adore him. But I marvel at how he can be so hypocritical. Had we been a nation of consequence, he wouldn't dare say that. Because a nation of consequence would have used a very fine comb to comb through his tenure. Never mind all the hype we give ourselves after we've left office. And then said, sir, on this you dropped the ball. On this you dropped the ball. There was allegation of corruption here. There was allegation of corruption here. There was allegation of corruption here. Do you mind being less sanctimonious? That's what I would have said.
Well, people change.
But because, after the act. After the act. So when you have been that way, you want to plead that every former president and every former head of state cannot be that way. It makes the job of the incumbent hard. You can't be the one that shames every president after you. You wrote a letter to Yar'Adua, basically shaming him. You wrote a letter to Jonathan, calling him out. You wrote a letter to, who was it? Buhari, calling him out. You have started now with Bola. The question that will be asked is that, sir, is it realistic to say that since this democracy started with you as president, that some of the things that we even see as fault in this democracy are the habits they learned from you? I can give you a few. Before we had 1999, it was inconceivable for a political party to suddenly be smaller than the government it battered. The 1999 experience that we had with Shagari, it was not unusual for the party chairmen to be bigger than their governors and to be bigger than the president, symbolically. The parties did not become so weak to the extent that one clown will be manipulating them from behind and everybody there will just be rolling over, not unable to speak. That kind of nonsense crept into our democracy because Olusegun Obasanjo, the man who's writing all of these letters, was the one who desired to have all the emperorship status vested in him, including the ability to remove chairman of party just by going to eat pounded yam in the house in a very insulting and annoying manner. So when people now copy that totalitarian power supreme, president is the leader of the party, governor is that kind of worm be roaming on his back, begging party leaders for tickets. You kneel down, you beg us, you bribe us, you do everything. We'll give you a ticket, you go and become governor, and then 3 weeks after we made you governor, you are now our leader. How does that even make sense? Obasanjo cost it. So he's my father. I don't like to engage him, but I will just say, in the twilight of your years, sir, every conversation you want to speak to on the improvement of the country, always remember that you had more than a fair chance of changing things. If you had been the Lee Kuan Yew of Nigeria, Nigeria won't be this way. And you had more than enough opportunity.
But he can't just keep quiet. Like I said, people change. The fact that I did wrong in my past.
Yeah, okay.
I
like that you're very sanctimonious idea.
No, the fact that I did wrong in my past.
I'm not saying it can't.
Doesn't mean that now I'm an old man. I can lend my voice towards national development.
The wisdom of the old is to talk less. The wisdom of the old is to talk less. The words of elders are very weighty, so they should talk less. It's the same with him and Bodejo too. There's a class of men, maybe because they are former military officers, and you just say, what are you people talking about now? There's Babangida in this country. How many times do you see him doing yapa? There's Jakub Gowon, who was even his boss in the country. How many times do you see him?
Maybe it's I'm doing my best here. Maybe it's a difference in personality. Some people talk more than others.
I talk.
Yes, there are people who don't.
Yeah, there are people who don't. That doesn't mean they're not smart. But I'm saying that if you have been president here, and we're complaining that this country has not met the wishes and aspirations of its citizens, and of the people we can take on board as being responsible, you are one of them. Can you please don't anger us so much, lest we pack all of you and throw you in the dustbin?
We shall not we shall not throw people in the dustbin. We will fix them.
Okay. Why do you think Assad ran away from Syria? You think he would have sat in the place and they would have caught him and they would throw him in the dustbin? Look, the point I'm making, because you are the one bringing us into it, the point I'm making is that Obasanjo cannot repair the country with the consciousness with which he destroyed it. The consciousness with which all of these people that have been ruling our country have used to destroy the country, they can dare not come and tell us that it is that same consciousness they're going to use to repair. They need to go.
I mean, as we're wrapping up, every time you're on Channels TV, I look at the comments on our YouTube.
Is that always good?
Well, they usually say, this is one of the people that should run for office. With this alternative business that you're doing.
Let us start and see.
Are there any hopes? Are you going to run again? Because I know you run. I'm going to run again,
no, listen,
2027.
I said to the PDP, my party that I've been with forever, now let me be chairman. You know why? Because I think that the first and most important thing that party needs is reform. And I don't want a...
Okay, you want party
chairman. Wait. I don't want anything.
Okay.
I don't want a party that at least pretends to show that we're trying to struggle with democracy and we've been struggling with it for 27 years. I don't want it lost. And for us to be able to rescue it so that it can be a party for all of time, we must accept that after 27 years, it can be reviewed and reformed. So I said, okay, let's do that. But that's for the parties to allow us to engage in the contest if they do. If they don't, I always tell people, when I wanted to run for House of Rep, I said to people that big said, gentlemen, I presented myself because you all are saying, okay, we should run. I'll do what I can within the limit of my money. I don't do fundraising for election. I just take my money and spend it. Contrary to people, I spend my money. And then when I don't win, I tell them, look, you have not hurt me by not voting for me. You have only deprived yourself of what I would have contributed. When I wanted to run for governor, I pushed it very hard. I'm popular. And I then said, well, we went to court. My case was status bad in the Supreme Court. They didn't call us on time. And when it was time, I looked at myself and I said, Segun, you have come to the point where you must live what you believe, what you've been preaching for others. And what did I do? I supported the guy that won. And I supported him with all my heart, with all my soul. And luckily for me, he won with the largest margin in my area. So what I'm trying to say, and even now I'm still standing there, Kela, if you want to serve and you feel you should present yourself for service, please do, lest you deprive them of the opportunity of seeing you. But don't ever get annoyed if they don't tell you to serve them, because service at the level is difficult. I will never be governor, and it can never be the same again. If I become governor of a state today, I guarantee you, they can never go back from that, because I'm very clear as to what needs to happen. For instance, in my state, I feel that it's time to do free nursery education, early basic, because I'm wondering why are the children of the rich not dropping out? Why are the children of the poor dropping out? You fix it at early basic education, free. If I alone can give people free education, go spend your money on giving the children of the poor free nursery. I'm clear about that. I will run the state almost, my state, as if it's a country. I'm not going to come and start coming to the federal government. No, it's a completely different case. So my point is that never ever be afraid of presenting yourself, but never ever be angry
when
if
you're
they
not.
don't. What's that?
I want to thank you very much. It's never enough time, Otumba. We'll see how that works out. Thank you so much, Otumba Sowunmi, for being with us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And good luck with all the work that you have ahead of you.
Thank you.
We have been speaking with Otumba Sowunmi right here on Political Paradigm this week. Please join the conversation on our website, channelstv.com. Leave your comments there, respectfully, of course, and continue to join us as we ask the accountability question until it is answered. I'm Kayla Megwa. See you next time.